Het-Heru, Assalamu alaikum, Haru Nefer, Namaste. This is Kasank Ma'a Kiparu with another broadcast for you. Today, I wanted to do a live stream to talk about levitating objects with your mind. Before I go into that, I want to touch base on a couple of things so we can all get on the same page and understand how magic works and the wonders that you can perform, okay? The first thing is I just came out of a week-long session where I was doing deep meditation, deep trance work. And whenever you do something like that and you play around with that, it can be very dangerous because you could go so deep under. It's almost like dying and having a near-death experience, because when you come out, you're not familiar anymore with the fourth dimensional plane. So you're kind of like reorientating yourself to this realm of existence. And that's what Nikola Tesla called this. He didn't say we're on planet Earth. He said we're not in this universe, but we're actually in a realm. All right, and I think that's a really accurate definition or accurate description of where we are, and I can talk a little bit about that later. But you know, once you start getting into this and you really want to advance, you will find that if you go deeper into meditation or trance state, you will be able to come out with wisdom, knowledge, and to actually have the ability to really just create miracles in your life. And one of the things that I want to give you an example of is that you have to ask yourself, what is more powerful? You know, and let me give you an example. We see Hollywood films like Star Wars and what's the other one? Harry Potter and all this stuff, where in those films, the magic is instantaneous. It's very bright colored. You can see them as they'll wave a magic wand and sparkles come out and things will move around. Or in the case of like Star Wars with Darth Vader, you'll see like him moving things with the Force and all that. Now, I want to make sure that you get a really good understanding of the difference between the Hollywood idea of magic and the reality of magic, okay? Now, is it actually possible for us to levitate things with our mind? Well, that's a very interesting thing, and there is no quick, direct answer to that. And I'll tell you this. If you're familiar with Scientology, you go way back when L. Ron Hubbard started Scientology, the one thing he was trying to do was to get people to like the Osirian level, where he called them clear, and we would call them Osirians or Osar. And these individuals were purged of their animal spirit, the Sahu aspect, to where he felt that they had the ability to move things with their mind. So he gathered his top initiates, let's say it that way, and they tried to move things with their minds. But anyway, long story short, his experiments were not successful. And there's a reason why it was not successful. So let me put it to you this way. You have a contract, which is your pre-life agreement. And we all, everyone, agreed to certain terms and conditions in that pre-life agreement. And part of that contract says that we will exist in the fourth dimensional realm where there is gravity, where there is oxygen. And these things are necessary for the physical Geb body to exist on Gaia, okay? Those things cannot be changed. They are part of the MCA, the Mass Collective Agreement, all right? We've all agreed upon that. Now, with that said, we've agreed that you cannot move things with your mind, right? We've come to that agreement because the law of Ma'at says that everything has to be balanced and equal. So Neter, God, Yahweh, is not going to favor one person or the other, which, you know, we hear that in the Bible where it says that God is no respecter of persons, you know. So he's not going to just say, I'm going to give you the power to levitate things with your mind, and this other individual won't have that power. Either we all have it or none of us have it. Now, with that said, yes, it is possible for you to levitate things with your mind. For that to happen, you know, we're all composed of particles, right? And we're vibrating, and we're not static. We're vibrating. Okay, you would have to find the frequency to where you can move to the alternate parallel world where you could move things with your mind. Is that easy? No, it's very, very difficult, because that would mean you would have to quantum leap to that parallel world where that is possible for you as an individual to have that ability. Now, we know that it's possible, but it's also unlikely, you know? And if you research into quantum mechanics, you'll understand that all things that can happen do happen within the same time and space, meaning that within this space, every possibility is being explored right here and right now, because the only thing that exists is the now moment, okay? With that said, yes, yes, you can move things with your mind, but the probability of it happening is 1 to a trillion, you know? So with that said, let me go back to the examples I was giving you on Star Wars and Harry Potter. Now, what we have to ask ourselves, it's what's more powerful? Are we looking at that form of magic and saying it's more powerful than what we as Asarians practice? Now, the thing that I talk about a lot is shifting to a parallel world where things go your way, where you have the things that you want. And that shift is about the vibration that you're giving off. And if you are vibrating at a certain frequency based on your emotions and your beliefs, then whatever emotion you are exhibiting, you'll vibrate to that world to have whatever you want come into fruition, whether good or bad. So if you have certain fears or phobias, then you're resonating at that frequency, and therefore you will come into a world where those fears and phobias will manifest. So be very cognizant of that, all right? This is why certain people have what we call as bad luck, and there's no such thing as good luck or bad luck. It's you are God man, God woman, and you are creating the reality that you're experiencing, whether you realize it or not. And that reality that you experience is not something that's discerned by your subconscious or your spirit, meaning that it's not going to label things bad experience, good experience, and decide to only manifest good experience. It's going to manifest everything that's you're harboring in your the deep recesses of your subconscious mind. Now, I work with certain witches and warlocks, and they have a thing what they call the shadow self. And basically, the way I put it is that the shadow self is all of the dark beliefs that you have stored within you, and that is, you know, all these beliefs and things that are taboo, that society society frowns down upon. Those things are collected and form what we call the shadow self. But those things are also, in some shape or form, manifested, and you interact with them and have that experience. So you're wondering why certain things are happening to you, especially in a relationship. You'll say, well, I'm always meeting the same person and the relationships never work out. That is because trapped within your shadow self is some hang up about something, and that is attracting or manifesting individuals within your reality that cause problems. And you need to work that out so that you can move to a different universe where those things don't exist. Does that make sense? So all things are possible. However, they may be highly unlikely. Okay. Now, I also mentioned that you can shift to a parallel universe. Some people shift relatively easy, and they want to know, well, how come I'm making all of these things happen, but when I want to manifest $1 million, it's not readily available or readily happening? That is because you're talking about what is near and dear to you, what is closest to you. A quantum leap to a new you or a new parallel universe where you possess, I don't know, an abundance of food or something. You're not lacking, wanting for dinner on the plate, or your rent is always paid, is not far off. And that is, according to your belief system, it's easy to believe in something like that. But however, $1 million may be a bigger quantum leap for you. So in order to get there, you're going to have to take steps, you know, quantum leap here, 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 until you get to that reality where you do have $1 million. Okay. I talked about before, for example, Hillary Clinton and Trump. There are some of us who exist in an alternate realm where Hillary Clinton is president, and there's others who exist here where Trump is president. Okay, and that's not a very far leap to get into. Now let's go back to my day and the things that I experienced. So I've gotten to a level of where I can manifest things fairly quickly. So my day will go, you know, where I've thought about things or I've meditated on things the night prior. And when I get up in the morning, I will see examples of those things coming to fruition. For example, I may meet a coworker who will say some things that are directly related to what I was meditating upon, or situations and scenarios that will happen. And one of the things that I did was, for example, I was going to this office and I wanted to change my shirt because I noticed there was a spot on my shirt. And I said to myself, watch when I get to that bathroom, there's going to be something there that prevents me from changing my shirt. So as soon as I got to that bathroom, and this never happens, I've been in that bathroom before, there was a worker in the bathroom. And he was changing the lights in the bathroom, and he was like, the bathroom was a mess. He took things apart, and he was just basically saying, you can't use that bathroom. And I was like, yeah, I kind of knew this was going to happen because I brought that into manifestation. And there were other things throughout the day that let me know that, hey, you know, your magic is working, things are happening. So the analogy that I was putting out there for you to examine is this: what's more powerful, the ability to have force power or be force sensitive, as they call in the Star Wars universe, meaning you can feel the force and levitate things with your mind, or Harry Potter, get a good wand and start making things happen? Or what's more powerful, or being able to meditate and create a life that is in tune and in alignment with what you want. So there is no resistance. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's absolutely no resistance. Now, this goes back to Cartesian logic, which is the problem that we have in our modern day Western world. What is that? That is like, we always think that to have something change or to affect things, there has to be a one-to-one relationship. Basically, we're caught up in linear space-time thinking. So we always have to think about, like Star Wars, for that cup to move, I have to mentally focus on that cup and levitate it. And that is why we get disappointed when we can't perform these so-called miracles that we see in the Hollywood films, actually. So I want to turn your attention to Dr. Kirby Surprise's book, and you all should get this. It's called Synchronicity, which was first coined by the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, when he noticed that they were certain things that were aligning coincidentally, but they weren't a coincidence. They were being caused by individuals. And these things were manifesting. In other words, they did, especially Dr. Kirby, did tests where he went to these mental hospitals and these people who claimed to be sick or insane. And well, they didn't claim to be sick or insane. The society deemed them as sick or insane. But what was really happening when he did studies of these people was that they were merely manifesting using the spirit within, their power within, to manifest situations. You know, like, for example, there was actually one individual who could make the TV talk to himself, but he thought he was going, you know, they thought he was going crazy. So when Dr. Kirby started studying this and bearing witness to this, he realized that these people weren't sick, they weren't insane, they were using this power that's readily available to all of us. So anyway, he gives a really good example in his book of the type of Western Cartesian logic that we're caught up in. Because when he started to study these patients, he wanted to learn how to use his power himself. And he became very proficient at it, you know. Of course, he's part of the medical establishment, so he's not going to say this is an occult power or this is magic. He's not going to say that. So one of the things he focused on was a cup that was sitting on the table in front of him, and then he was in his lazy chair. So he was meditating and trying to think. He wanted that cup to magically move and across the room, levitate across the room and come into his hand. That's the one-to-one relationship. So he was focusing on that, and suffice to say, it didn't happen. But what did happen was very, very astonishing and curious. Instead of the cup getting up and levitating, his daughter came into the room, knocked the table over. The cup fell off the table and into his lap. That's the synchronicity. That's your magic at work. It works by that indirect effort. So you're thinking one way, but the universe is operating and working a different way. So rather than Harry Potter using his magic wand to get rid of Voldemort or whatever, I stopped watching those movies a long time ago, or Darth Vader, or Luke Skywalker using the Force to get rid of a stormtrooper or a Jedi, you can use this power to practically eliminate your enemy, or well, I don't want to use that term enemy, but we'll just say it that way. Enemy, to facilitate this conversation. You really have no enemies because you're one with all and you can't oppose yourself. Okay, that's the law. But let's say, just for this conversation, that you wanted to eliminate your enemy. You can shift to another realm where there is no enemy, where that person does not exist, or that person is not your enemy. And that is powerful. That is more powerful than what you're seeing, the razzle dazzle, the glitter and glamour of Star Wars or Harry Potter, all this mumble jumble sparks and do this, like Bewitched. I like that TV series. That was kind of cute. Or I Dream of Jeannie. All this stuff where it's really overemphasized because magic works on the more subtle level. Okay, so I want you to think about where does the power lie and what's more powerful. Now, I know everybody wants to see things move across the room, and if they see that, it's astonishing. But I'm telling you that when you meditate upon the situation scenarios or the world that you want, and you're able to get up in the morning and you realize that you've shifted to an alternate universe, it's a very comforting feeling. It's wondrous, and it's a game changer, because then you realize that nothing is outside of your grasp, that you have a problem with your boss, you have a problem with your mate. Well, then you envision that person acting in a different way, making a 180-degree turn, and watch how it happens. And you'll see it. And part of this is you have to believe, make sure that there's a component of belief into this, all right? So I want you to start thinking about that. As I said before, L. Ron Hubbard was trying experiments into this, and it didn't prove fruitful. So if you want to start doing the levitating things with your mind, give it a shot. You may find the frequency that allows you to do that. You know what I mean? Those individuals who are hitting the lottery have found that frequency where they because those individuals, if you look at those individuals who have won the lottery, they're not from this space-time continuum. They're from another space-time continuum, because they have found the frequency and they have shifted to this realm to where they win the lottery. So I want you to think about that. So it's possible for you to do the exact same thing, shift from this realm to another realm where you're the lottery winner. But it takes work. It takes a lot of work, and everything is composed of frequencies, and finding those right frequencies can be challenging. One of the things that people do in the New Age movement is they talk about a lot about embodying the emotion that you want to experience. For example, what does it feel like to be a multimillionaire? If you could feel that to the core of your being, then that will resonate, and that frequency may be enough to get you to where you need to go to hit that lottery. Or if you're into Bitcoins and you want to be a Bitcoin millionaire, what does it feel like to be in possession of $1 million worth of Bitcoins? Embody that feeling. Now, there's a caveat to all of this, and that is your pre-life agreement may basically nix any of this. You know what I mean? You may have your pre-life contract, sign that contract saying, in this lifetime, I agree not to be a millionaire. So no matter what you do, you're not going to be a millionaire. because you've agreed to explore a certain theme. You understand what I mean? Some of us play in this agreement the bad guy. Some of us play the good guy. Some of us play the king. Some of us play the court jester. You know. So what role are you playing? You don't know until you do a oracle destiny reading, and that will reveal to you the theme you have to explore and the mission that you're on in this lifetime. You know, and some people, when I do readings with them with the oracle, reveals that yes, in this life you are due money. You're going to get money, you know, and if that is the case, it's only a matter of finding how will it come to you, if that makes sense. Will it come to you in lottery, inheritance? Will it come to you starting your own startup company? How is it going to come to you? But remember, what they don't tell you in things like The Secret or the law of attraction, which those things do work, but your pre-life agreement trumps all of that, okay? And that's what you have to understand. If in my pre-life agreement, I agreed that I would be a famous actor, then that is what's going to happen. And I don't need to do a lot of magic and all that to get myself there. But if I made that agreement that I would not be in the acting field, but rather be a bum or hobo on the street, then what I have now, I could lose it all, be on the street, but with the understanding that I am fulfilling my mission objective, my theme. And once I pass on, I will communicate all the experiences that I've learned to my oversoul, because your oversoul is collecting the information. You're always in contact with your oversoul. And then when you pass on, you get the opportunity to ascend to fifth dimension. You know, fifth dimension is void of time and space. So in fifth dimension, anything you think of is instantaneously manifested because there's no linear process of beginning, middle, and end. It all is instantaneous. You think, it appears, it's there. You experience it immediately. All right. And then from there is going to, you can have the opportunity to go to, for example, another universe, because there's parallel universes, or the omniverse, or the go and move into eternity, or go reconnect with source, which you're connected with source anyway, but you're just going to be with source and go back to that oneness. All right. So I hope this made sense for you. And let me just go back one more thing. When I talked about, because I want to make it very clear, seeing your mate change or your boss change because it's, for example, if you're with somebody and they are giving you some trouble and you're very stressed out being with this person, when you envision that person acting in a different way, the way you want them to act, don't forget, then if it happens, that's a different person. That's not the same person. You know what I mean? Because everyone around you is an avatar. And the reality that you experience is a very subjective reality. It's not an objective reality, meaning that we're all not experiencing that same reality. It's your individualized reality. So, and you have command over that reality. You have a destiny you're pursuing, but how you get there is up to you. You can get there in first class, second class, third class, whatever, but it's up to you. So when you're doing your meditations and you're envisioning and you're embodying the emotion of what you want, just be aware of the fact that the experience that you're having is not necessarily a collective experience. It's a subjective, individualized experience. And that's why we're so caught up in this polarized left brain thinking, because just because we perceive the world around us as separate and individualized, that doesn't mean that the higher levels of consciousness, things are that way there. They're not. Not at all, because when you deal with the right brain, you're dealing with non-linear space-time. So think about that. And that non-linear space-time is one of the things that I did explore in my deep meditations last week. And let me tell you, it was phenomenal. It's something that you just, words, I can't express in words. You have to experience it, because what you'll see is that you could have a whole lifetime experience in 5 minutes. You'll come out of the trance and you'll believe that you were a child, you grew up and you did this, did that. And then you'll realize only 5 minutes have passed on the clock. And you're like, well, how did I experience all of that in just 5 minutes? And then you realize what Einstein was saying with E equals mc squared, that time is relative, all right? It's not linear, okay? So, and we have to stop thinking that way. So anyway, I want to encourage you guys, if you've liked this, to please hit the like button, share this video. And if you want to find out your mission, your theme, your destiny, you can sign up for an oracle reading, and the link is below. And you can start getting on your mission, because if you, one of the things you have to understand, if you do not understand your destiny, you will be subject to karma, and which means that you will be reincarnated over and over again. You go through different incarnations or different rebirths. And the reason for that is, if you don't explore and complete your mission or your destiny in this lifetime, you got to come back and do it all over again until you get it right. And to avoid that, because really what you want is you want to ascend to fifth dimension, and you don't want to come back here, because it's tough here on Earth. Earth is a tough trainer, you know, because you're learning a lot here, but you don't want to keep coming here because you want to become God man, God woman, or an Asarian. You want to be Asar, you know, or a Ser, however you want to pronounce it. So to do that, you've got to stop. You've got to stop the rebirth cycle from happening over and over and over again. And let me remind you guys of this one thing. If you have children, I want you to clearly understand this, because in the priesthood, they were very good at teaching us this. But I've noticed in the outside world, people are oblivious to this. And that is, your children are ancestors. And you have to honor them as such. Because the children that are in your life have past life memories. They remember their past life because they're still they're still young, and they are close to the past life experience. So you have to consider them ancestors. As they get older, they will forget about that past life. This is why a lot of children at a very, very early age have certain phobias. And, you know, one of the things they did was they did the doll test, and they had some children look at a black doll and some children look at a white doll, and they associate negativity with the black doll and positivity with the white doll. And the reason they did this was not through media conditioning. The children can't get conditioned that quickly through popularized mainstream media. These children are bringing that from another lifetime. Do you understand? And they also bring in a lot of other things, like maybe fear of spiders, or fear of cats, or fear of dogs. So keep that in mind. They were ancestors who still have a good connection to the past life experience, all right? So the other thing is, if you get a chance, think about contributing to the Patreon campaign, because we have some really good classes that I'm going to be given in Patreon, which is not going to be available here on YouTube. So with that said, I've said a lot. Again, feel free to share this video, and if you have any questions, put them in the description box, and I'll be glad to answer them. This is Kasank Ma Keparu signing off for now, and Amen Ra.